Hello, Pancakes here with some Team Deathmatch on Castle. And this game I used the Thompson with no attachment because, well, I didn't have any unlocked at this time. And perks are, as you could see, special grenade ×3, stopping power, and steady aim. Of course, I would prefer to have dead silence, but you don't unlock that until much later, so I didn't have it here. Let's see, World at War is a game that's kind of generated a pretty mixed opinion. Some people like it, some people absolutely hate it. I don't know. I mean, I understand why some people would really dislike it. The MP40 is clearly the best gun in the game. I don't think there's a whole lot of debate about that. And you know, I agree that the tanks on some of the maps are pretty annoying. Really, I mean, I've played some matches where the enemy team literally had like 3 tanks. There was no game. There was nothing to do, so I just left. But I mean, these kinds of things definitely I do feel are legitimate complaints towards the game. But personally, I think a lot of the complaints are pretty exaggerated. Like when people say it's the worst game ever created. I mean, I can see its problems, but I do think that, nevertheless, it's still usually a fun game. It can be very frustrating for sure, but I think to say it's the worst shooter of all time is quite the overstatement. But all in all, I do prefer Call of Duty 4 to this game. But they did do some things right in this game, I feel. They nerfed the grenades down and made it so you could only carry 2, which I thought was a good decision. Because anybody who's played a lot of Call of Duty 4 knows it oftentimes turns into a battle of who can throw the most grenades. Case in point, try playing Wet Work on Ground War. You're going to hear more grenades going off than actual bullets. So, that's one thing they got right. I'm pretty glad they changed that. You know, every game's got the good and bad. But yeah, I uploaded this because, as you guys know, I asked in my last video which one you guys wanted to see, and it seems like most people wanted to see World at War, which actually kind of surprised me. I never knew this game was so popular, but you know, like I said, I would do what the majority said, and so you guys are. And keep in mind that the other decisions, or the other choices, the Call of Duty 4 and Modern Warfare 2, I'm obviously going to still upload those. It's only a matter of when, rather than if. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Rather than if. Excuse my lousy grammar. Forget how to speak English for a moment. And let's see. I've submitted several Modern Warfare 2 games to Machinima actually, so God, I'm getting a lot of voice cracks today. So you guys are still going to be getting those, and of course, whenever I upload a match to Machinima, it's going to be usually a good match, you know, one that I feel is one of my better ones. I always save my better matches for Machinima, simply because, well, I get more views there and I get paid. But of course, I mean, I don't keep matches on my computer unless I think they're good, and I think I have at least relatively high standards. I mean, I won't just upload any random game I get. Moving on. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I get the dogs. Dogs, of course, are pretty rape sauce in this game. Especially since, like, in the Modern Warfare games, the kill streak rewards can get shot down and it's over. The dogs, they just keep coming at you until the timer goes out. You can kill the dogs, but I think there's like they just keep coming. So the dogs can definitely net you a lot of kills, and on top of that, they have a tendency of distracting the enemy team, and so you know it's pretty easy to see where the dogs are going, and picking people off as they're trying to stab the dogs. Pretty effective. And back there I saw Bouncing Betty. The thing about not Modern Warfare 2, the thing about World at War is that a lot of people like to use Bouncing Betties, and they are very difficult to see. In Call of Duty, 4 and Modern Warfare 2, you can see the claymores because the lasers are pointing outward, so they're pretty easy to see. But in this game, it's a lot harder to see bouncing betties, and if you're not paying attention, you will find yourself getting killed by them quite often. For a while, I actually used Bomb Squad, and I kind of switch off between Bomb Squad and Bandolier. And of course, I don't have Bandolier unlocked yet, but I usually use either Bomb Squad or Bandolier. Depends on my mood. And I think Bomb Squad in this game is generally more useful than Call of Duty 4 for that very reason, because bouncing betties are much harder to see, on top of the fact that you have to walk in front of a claymore to trigger it, and a bouncing betty, I think, is like a 360 area. It's like a circle around it that you can walk into. I don't know what I'm trying to say again. So bouncing betties are a lot harder to dodge, and they are really powerful too. I think bouncing betties are kind of overpowered, to be honest, because I mean, once you trip it, there's really nothing you can do, and they're so hard to see. And here's an example of what I was talking about, where the dogs can distract the enemy for you to come in and kill them. One thing you want to do, and I don't really do it here, because I don't know why, I probably wasn't thinking, is to you want to burst fire your SMGs at longer ranges. And I'm more used to Modern Warfare 2 here, where in Modern Warfare 2 for most of the guns, with the exception of like the higher recoil assault rifles such as the TAR-21, where you can just hold down the trigger and the bullets will go straight without like barely any recoil. In this game, this SMGs, at least the Thompson, tends to have a bit more recoil, and so you want to fire more in bursts when you're going long range. And the last thing I want to talk about is KDR. A lot of people, they put a lot of weight in their KDR. I used to be that way, if you guys recall. I had actually made this account so I could what's the word I'm thinking of? So I can have an account just to focus on my KDR, which now looking back was pretty sad. And I have a lot of friends who I used to, who I play with, who know me as that one guy who's obsessed with the stats. And Logan, if you're watching this, which I know you probably will be, yeah, I know. But in all honesty, it got really it really got old after a while, you know, when you're just sitting there focusing on your KDR the whole game. You really lose sight of a lot of the other aspects of the game that can be fun, such as what I'd like to do in Call of Duty 4 back in the day was to play like hardcore headquarters or something and just use the deagle and try to one-shot people across the map. It was actually a pretty effective way of practicing your accuracy and things like that. And I've been doing that Modern Warfare 2 a little bit just for fun, you know, using the Desert Eagle only in free-for-all games. And trust me, it's really hard to get really good scores in free-for-all using nothing but a Desert Eagle. It's really hard. But, you know, it really forces you to be resourceful. It really forces you to find creative ways to kill people. And obviously, I think that kind of resourcefulness will lend itself well to when you're actually playing seriously and using actual guns. But it does hurt your KDR, which again ties into what I'm saying, where you know your KDR doesn't mean everything. I mean, I have friends on my friends list who have under a 2 kill death ratio who are good players. You know, they can get good scores on a fairly consistent basis, but the difference is they screw around a lot. You know, they just mess around, they have fun, and I think, you know, looking back, that's kind of something I forgot. And so now, you know, when I'm recording, I still try to get good scores and all, because people like to see good scores. But when I'm not recording, I don't usually try hard that much anymore. I usually just, you know, mess around and do things I wouldn't ordinarily do. And so I hope you guys enjoy this video, and thanks for watching.